Okay, well, I want to introduce the entire class of Chemistry 108 to uh, Ariel Kelley, who was a student here, a former Golden Eagle. So, Ariel, when were you a student here at the University of Southern Mississippi?
So I was a student at USM from the fall of 2013 to the spring of 2015.
Okay, and you graduated from there and went to University of Alabama?
Correct. I'm still currently in graduate school here at Alabama.
And planning on defending and graduating this December, right?
Yes, December 1st. I'll be defending.
Fantastic, fantastic. Always love to hear that. So our first question for you is, why did you pick chemistry, biochemistry as your major?
So it really started back in high school for me. I had a great chemistry teacher in high school. I also should probably preface this with I came from a very tiny high school. It was an attendance center. I graduated with 33 people. So the science is there is not, we really don't have a lab. We might get to do a titration. But I just remember going into that chemistry class and she was so enthusiastic about it that it made me excited for chemistry. And I enjoyed it because it has a pattern like mathematics, but you get to it's more applicable to the real world. Like you can see how things work through chemistry. And that's where I first really got my, I like chemistry. And so at that point I thought, well, maybe I can go into something scientific like pharmaceuticals. So I thought I would go be a pharmacist. And that's what I originally went to college for. But then once I took my freshman chemistry course and had access to a bigger lab where I got to do more experiments, that's what really was like, actually, I think I might just want to go into straight chemistry. And so that's how I really first got into it.
Okay, fantastic. So you were the chemistry emphasis, not the biochemistry emphasis, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And so did you come to USM directly from high school, or did you transfer in from a community college?
I transferred in from Jones College. I believe it was Jones County Junior College. Now I think it's Jones College.
Yeah, so you went to the community college first and then came to USM. And so we do have a number of students in Chemistry 108 exactly in that situation as well. So we may ask some follow-up questions a little later about your basically, you have two freshman years in a way, right?
Yes, it really is like that.
It absolutely is, yeah. So my second question for you is, when did you start getting involved in undergraduate research?
So I really got started as soon as I got to Southern Miss. It was really serendipitous in a way. I came in as a member of senior honors, and whenever you're an honors college member, they enforce you to have a research project. And that's just a part of, you have to write a senior thesis. That's a part of the program itself. And so it ends up Dr. Pigza, who I ended up doing research with, was my academic advisor. And we were at a meeting of some sort. And I just remember I was like, I'm going to go introduce myself to her because she's going to be my academic advisor. And really, it just all kind of fell in place from there. I needed an advisor. She was new to USM at the time. She needed students. So she became my honors thesis advisor. And I worked for her starting, I believe, the end of that fall semester. I came to Southern Miss.
So you basically then did a full 2 years of research with Dr. Pigza, pretty much?
Yes. And in the summer, she actually had a grant she put me on, so she was able to pay me in the summer. So I did literally the entire 2 years, including the summer of research under her.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. How did the undergraduate program here at Southern Mississippi prepare you for your career, or for your current position that you have as a graduate student, I should say?
Well, I can tell you I was extremely prepared for grad school, because something that Dr. Pigza really did is, it was nice, and I know this is not always true, but because I was one of her first students, I got hands-on training from her. And so at that point, she was trained me, and I was able to help train her either if she had somebody from high school working with her, a graduate student, I was able to train them. So after 2 full years of research and learning all the techniques that she provided me, when I came to grad school, that transition was not very hard for me, because I was very prepared to come into a wet lab situation. And I did change from synthetic organic or methodological organic to physical organic, but still those techniques I learned there at Southern Miss still applied.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, that's good. So now you're doing more physical organic kind of work? Are you doing mostly computational work, or?
It's a mixture of both. We like to make compounds that, so like one half of my groups make compounds, azo compounds that with light can move. So it's like a molecular flexor. And then I work with compounds that have interesting electronic properties or magnetic anisotropy, which typically have color changes like thermochromes or photochromes. So that way, and that's something you could see in like transition glasses. So that's more of what our group does, is making and synthesizing compounds that have practical applications.
Okay. All right. That's interesting.
Yes.
So the final formal question that I have for you is, can you kind of describe, since you're so close to graduation and you're looking for jobs, kind of describe your thought process for selecting your career path that you're thinking about right now, and how your education in general, but specifically at Southern Miss, may have helped shape the career trajectory that you're trying to go down.
Yes. So, well, to just tell you what I'm trying to go for, I'm going into the academia field. I really want to work at a PUI or as a lab supervisor, do a little bit of research, but mainly focus on teaching. And so even at USM, like with my professors there, I got to see how you can have such close contact and make those good relationships with the professors at a smaller university with class sizes aren't so bad. I mean, Southern Miss isn't small, but in the chemistry department, we have pretty good student to faculty ratios. Mm-hmm. And I just saw how important that was to me to be able to have communication with my professors in the learning process, even at Southern Miss. So then as I came to grad school and I was able to teach and fill in lectures for my advisor now and then teach labs, that's where I really realized I enjoy teaching chemistry. I enjoy making people excited about it. And so that's kind of what led me to what jobs I'm applying for now. Is I love the research side of things, but I also really enjoy getting people that, because I wasn't somebody that thought I'd go into chemistry, but getting people that might not be so inclined, thinking chemistry is a scary subject or that it's hard, and be like, no, it's actually really interesting. Why don't you? And so that's kind of how I got into wanting to teach.
Okay, fantastic. No, we need more people who want to impart that enthusiasm of our discipline to students. So we appreciate your willingness to go into that area.
Yeah. So
the final thing would be to give students a piece of advice from you, for you to give those students a piece of advice. And since you were a transfer student to Southern Miss, maybe you could give a little advice along those lines. But think about it in a way of, if you had to go back and talk to your freshman self, knowing what you know now, having been through graduate school and gotten your degree and all that kind of stuff, yes. What would you tell yourself as a freshman? But then maybe what would you tell yourself as a new student to USM? So you kind of had 2 freshman years in a way, right?
Yes.
Or freshman experiences. So maybe you could leave those students with a little bit of advice along those lines.
Okay, so my first thing, and just kind of an overarching theme, is to always take any opportunity that you can. If it's provided to you, make sure that you take those opportunities, because it's going to help you in the long run. As telling my freshman self coming from high school into junior college, something I wish I would have known was that, okay, in a lot of ways, it is better to go to a 4-year university first, is something that I've kind of seen, because that transition and having that second freshman year can be tough to navigate. It is definitely possible. I mean, I'm here and I'm in grad school and about to get my PhD, so you can do it. But I wish I could have told her, hey, be brave and just go for the 4-year university. But I also want to tell people, if you don't feel like you're ready for a 4-year university, that junior college, those first 2 years at a university like that, go do it. Typically tuition's a little lower, and that's okay. Like, if that's what you need to do, it is possible to come from a 2-year program into a bigger university like Southern Miss, and then take the next 2 years and graduate on time. It is possible. Just prepare yourself. So that's kind of what I would tell my freshman year. It's like, okay, maybe we should have done it, but it's okay because you can. But yeah, so when it comes to just telling students that something that I think they should know, it's really just take any opportunity provided to you. Make sure that you network. Make sure if you have the opportunity to go to conferences, when you go to those conferences, it doesn't matter if you're still an undergrad. Make those connections. Maybe that's somebody that you could work with if you want to go to grad school. Maybe that could be your future advisor. So just always take the opportunities, make connections, and then keep your resume as a living document. It is never too early to start working on that resume. Always keep
That's definitely something that they're working on in Chemistry 108 right now, was the assignment. I still have to grade that assignment, but they have turned in a resume CV project. And so
Oh, that's
they're
great.
getting started on that right now. So that's a great piece of advice, and nobody else has actually given that piece of advice. So I'm glad you did.
Yes.
So before we leave the students, could you, one of the things that I see when students transition from a junior college to the senior college, if you will, a lot of your study groups and a lot of your friend network is built when you're a freshman, and then when you come in as a junior, what was it like for that transition, trying to make those connections with students again for you? And do you have any advice along those lines?
Yes. So I'm a naturally shy, introverted person. But something that I did when I came to USM was I got lucky, honestly, and I lived in a dorm room. So basically, I guess what I'm saying, and I met somebody that was in biochem focus, but I was able to gain friends and people that had the same majors through her, and I was able to get into study groups that way. So I guess if you don't live in a dorm where you have that situation, put yourself in situations where you're going to be around other people in your major, because that's the way you're going to make the best connections and be able to get into those study groups. Because it's all about connections. As soon as you make that one friend, they can introduce you and so on and so forth. And so that's how I ended up being able to be a part of study groups. And I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to have those people to study with once you get up, especially to your junior and senior years in this program. It's nice to have people to bounce ideas off of.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't have said it better myself. So that's it for the formal questions today. I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with our Chemistry 108 students. And I know they're going to take away an awful lot from the things that you had to say today. And so I want to thank you again.
Oh, well, thank y'all for having me.
It's our pleasure.